The handshake drama continued during the ICC Under-19 World Cup ahead of the India versus Bangladesh game, when it appeared that both skippers were not too keen to actually engage in the act, and so neither of them actually ended up going for a handshake, which meant that, of course, it became a major bit of news that the no handshake thing continues on. Of course, India and Bangladesh in recent times have been having tensions not only politically but also on the cricketing field. Who can forget what's happening with the T20 World Cup as well? However, in a rather unusual move, the Bangladesh Cricket Board actually came down a little harshly on the under-19 players and issued an apology of sorts via a statement, and actually reminded their players to remember to uphold the spirit of the game. This is interesting. Let's quickly take a look at two of the statements, or two parts of the statement that they put out, which I thought were the interesting parts. Starting with, of course, this one. It says that the BCB wishes to clarify that the absence of a handshake was completely unintentional and resulted from a momentary lapse in concentration. So what they're claiming is that at that point in time, basically the player had a little bit of a momentary lapse in concentration, a brain fade, to use a terminology popular in cricket, and so the handshake didn't exactly happen. It wasn't something that was intentional, and that's why they said that we wish to clarify this. The clarification comes because obviously there had been criticism or controversy of sorts that came about due to this. So they're trying to distance themselves from it, saying, listen, look, we didn't want to try anything of that sort. It was simply an honest mistake that happened. In fact, they went one further and they said this. They said that upholding the spirit of cricket and respect for opponents is a fundamental prerequisite for representing Bangladesh at any level, and we advise the team management accordingly. Now, this is interesting because they're saying that, listen, the spirit of the game at this point in time is very, very important for any team that is representing Bangladesh at any level, and that is something that we communicated to the team management. So what they basically are trying to say is that if there are going to be any future matches, let's say between India, Bangladesh, or if there are other similar matches, then the handshake issue will not in fact remain an issue. If they are to meet again, there will potentially be a handshake, because as they're saying, spirit of the game, regardless of the opposition, needs to be followed. And it's interesting because there has been no comment of sorts that has come from the BCCI. The BCB has in fact put out the statement saying that, look, it was unintentional. We've told our players not to do this again. As I said, interesting really, because for the most part, if you ask me, I thought the no handshake thing was something that came about directly from the BCCI. We saw it happen in the Asia Cup, and then of course in the Asia Cup Rising Stars, then in the Under-19 Asia Cup, even in the Women's World Cup, we saw it happen. But the fact that Bangladesh themselves said, no, we also have a part in this one, interesting that they owned it and said that, no, it isn't happening again. What are your thoughts though on this particular development? Let us know that in the comments below. And don't forget, as always, to like this video, share it with your friends, subscribe to the channel, tap that bell icon, follow us also on social media. We're on Instagram, X and Facebook, and stay tuned for more such updates from the world of sport.